Either you give me this money, or your wife will regret it, my son-in-law told me, looking me dead in the eye like he wasn't threatening the woman I've loved for over 40 years. Even now, when I replay that moment in my mind, I feel that same cold shock spreading through my chest, like someone had dumped a bucket of ice water straight into my veins. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My son-in-law, my daughter's husband, the man I welcomed into my home, trusted, and helped more times than I can count, was standing there, blackmailing me as if I were some stranger he found on street, and I swear for a second all I could think was, is this really happening? Is this really my family? Tell me, would you have done what I did next? Because honestly, even now, part of me wonders if I went too far or not far enough, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this entire disaster began, because trust me, none of this happened overnight. It started months earlier. My wife, Maria, had been dealing with some health issues, nothing major at first. Just fatigue, dizziness, little things we brushed off as aging. But one day she fainted in the kitchen, and that scared the life out of me. We went to the doctor, and after a million tests, they told us she needed a treatment plan that wasn't covered by our insurance. The kind of treatment that comes with hospital visits, medications, specialist checkups, the sort of bills that stack up faster than you can even open them. Now, I had savings, and I had no problem using them. I'd save every penny of my life if it meant keeping Maria alive and well. But the issue wasn't the cost, it was the timing. The insurance delays, the bureaucracy, the waiting lists, everything felt so slow when my wife needed help now. So, before dipping into retirement funds or selling anything, I reached out to my daughter, Anna, just to let her know what was going on. Not to ask for money, not to burden her, just to talk, just to feel like someone in our family cared. Anna was always my soft-hearted one. Growing up, she'd hug me for every little thing, good or bad. A scraped knee, she'd crawl into my lap. A bad grade, she'd cry on my shoulder. So when I told her about her mom's health, I expected her to say something comforting, or even just ask more questions. But she didn't, in fact. She sounded distant, rushed, like she was checking items off a list. "Oh, okay, Dad. I'll tell Lucas," she said. Lucas, my son-in-law, a man with expensive tastes, loud opinions, and a tendency to blame the world for everything wrong in his life. Don't get me wrong. I tried to like him, I tried hard. I told myself that if my daughter loved him, that was enough. But the truth is that Lucas always gave off this vibe, like he was waiting for the moment he could take advantage of someone. I hate saying that, but sometimes your gut knows before your brain does. Anyway, the next day, Lucas showed up at my house unannounced. He rang the bell like he was trying to break it. When I opened the door, he didn't even say hello. He just pushed in and started pacing around my living room like he owned the place. "So," he said, "how much are we talking?" I didn't understand the question. How much for what? I asked, and then he said something that made my stomach twist. "For your wife's medical stuff. Anna said you needed cash. How much?" I told him we were handling it, and that it wasn't his concern, but he smiled. This smug, slimy smile that still makes me sick. He said, "Well, if you're desperate, I know a guy. High interest loans, fast cash, no questions asked." I stared at him, trying to process what kind of man offers his sick mother-in-law a loan shark instead of compassion. I told him no, firmly, and I asked him to leave. He did, but the smile stayed, and that was the moment something inside me shifted. From that day on, things got worse. Lucas and Anna stopped visiting. Calls from Anna became rare. When she did call, she always sounded tense, like someone was listening in. Meanwhile, Maria's health was getting worse. She tried to stay upbeat, but I could see the fear in her eyes every time she sat down a little too slowly or grabbed onto the counter for balance. I hid my own fear because that's what husbands do, or at least that's what I've always believed. But the bills began piling up. Lab tests, medications, specialist appointments. I paid everything I could out of pocket, but eventually the savings I'd been careful with for decades began melting away. I didn't tell Maria how bad it was because I didn't want her worrying more than she already was, and I definitely didn't tell Anna because she barely seemed like she cared anymore. The few times I did mention bills or treatments, she always cut the conversation short. Dad, I'm busy, she'd say, or I'll talk to Lucas. And every time she said his name, something inside me tightened. Then one day, out of nowhere, Lucas texted me, "Need to talk." Important. I ignored it at first, then he texted again, "It's about Anna." My chest tightened instantly. I called him back, and he said we needed to meet in person. He insisted on meeting at my house. Stupidly, I agreed. When he arrived, he walked in with this dark, serious expression, like he was preparing for some dramatic confrontation. I thought maybe Anna was pregnant, or maybe they were getting divorced. 1,000 things went through my mind, but nothing prepared me for what came out of his mouth. He sat down across from me, leaned back, and said, "I need money." Just like that, no hesitation, no easing into it, no shame. I stared at him, confused. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, and he shrugged. "Because you have it," he said. Then he explained, if you can call it an explanation, that he had invested money into some business idea and it hadn't worked out. He owed people, dangerous people, but that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was when he leaned forward, looked me right in the eye, and said that Anna didn't know, that he had taken money out of their joint account without telling her, that if she found out she'd lose it. I felt my blood pressure rising. "This has nothing to do with me," I said, and that's when he changed. That's when the mask dropped. That's when he showed me the real Lucas. He leaned in close, smirked, and said, "Either you give me this money, or your wife will regret it." At first, I thought I misheard him. I asked him to repeat himself, and he did, slowly, deliberately, threatening my wife's being not with direct violence, but with something more subtle, more manipulative. "Anna's stressed," he said. "She's emotional. If she hears you've been hiding medical stuff from her, or that you're broke, or that you're falling apart, she'll freak. She won't handle the pressure, and who do you think she'll blame? Your wife. That old lady can't handle drama. She's fragile." He said it with this tone, this disgusting tone, like he was playing some kind of strategic game. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. This man, this parasite, was trying to use my daughter's emotions as a weapon against my wife. He was threatening to start chaos in my family unless I paid him off. I sat there, gripping the arm of the chair, trying to steady my breathing. I looked at him and said, "Get out." But he didn't move. "I'm serious," he said. "You pay me or everyone suffers." Then he stood up and added, "You have until Friday." And he walked out like he had just finalized some business deal. I sat there in silence for nearly an hour. My heart felt like someone had reached inside and squeezed. My hands trembled. I kept thinking, how did we get here? How did we go from a loving family to this? The next morning, when Maria woke up, she could tell something was off. She asked what was wrong, but I lied. I said I was just tired. I said I didn't sleep well, but she saw through me. She always does. Still, she didn't push. She knows when I need time to think, and think I did, all day, all night, for days. I replayed Lucas's words in my head over and over. I imagined the worst. My wife stressed into a hospital bed, my daughter manipulated into hating us, our family torn apart by one man's greed. I knew I couldn't give Lucas a single penny, not because I didn't have it, but because giving it would mean letting him control me, control us, and once you let someone like that control you, they never stop. They always come back for more. So, that's the situation I was in. I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have paid him to keep the peace, or would you have taken the risk and fought back? All right, here's what I did. I decided to fight, but not the way Lucas expected. I knew confronting him head on wouldn't work. He'd twist it, manipulate it, use it against me. So instead, I made a plan. The first step was to tell Maria. I sat her down, held her hands, and told her everything, every word Lucas said, every threat he implied. I expected her to cry or panic, but she didn't. She sat there quietly, breathing slowly, and then she said something that will stay with me forever. We're not scared of him, she said. We'll deal with this together. And that's when I knew, no matter what happened next, I wasn't alone. Next, I contacted Anna, but instead of calling her, where Lucas might overhear or manipulate conversation, I asked her to meet me for breakfast, just the two of us. When she arrived, she looked tired, drained, like she hadn't slept in days. I didn't ease into anything. I told her straight. Lucas threatened your mother. She blinked, confused, and then angry at me. Dad, what are you talking about? She said, why would he? But then I told her everything, word for word. Her face changed completely. The color drained, her breathing got shallow, and she said, he did what? Here's the twist. Anna already suspected Lucas was hiding something. She told me he'd been acting strange, making secret phone calls, leaving the house at odd hours, snapping at her over nothing. She said she knew something was wrong but didn't know what. When I told her he had taken money from their joint account, she wasn't surprised. She was hurt, deeply, painfully hurt. But when I told her he threatened her mother, something in her snapped. She stood up, grabbed her bag, and said, I'm done protecting him. And this is where the real revenge starts. Anna marched straight home. I followed behind her in my car, just in case things escalated. When she walked into their house, Lucas was sitting on the sofa, playing video games like he didn't have a care in the world. When he saw her, he paused the game and smiled. Hey, babe, he said. That smile disappeared fast. Anna didn't scream. She didn't cry. She spoke in this cold, calm voice I had never heard from her. You threatened my mother. Lucas froze. What? No, I. But Anna didn't let him finish. She said, Dad told me everything. Every word. Lucas looked at me, standing in the doorway, then back at her. He started stumbling over his lies. He misunderstood. Stop, she said. Just stop. She walked to their bedroom, grabbed a folder, and slammed it on the table. I already printed out the bank statements. She said, I already know what you took. Lucas's face turned the color of chalk. He started begging, actually begging, saying he could explain. But Anna didn't give him the chance, and then, this part still feels surreal. She told him she had already packed a bag. She told him she was staying with us. She told him she was done being scared, manipulated, or lied to. Lucas followed her around the house, pleading, cursing, trying everything from guilt to threats, but she didn't budge. She walked out the door, got into her car, and said, Dad, let's go. Lucas ran after her, shouting, You can't do this. You can't walk away. But she did, and that's when I turned around, looked Lucas dead in the eye, and said the words he had thrown at me days before. Either you fix your life, or you will regret it. Not a threat. A fact, the aftermath. Lucas spiraled, completely. Turns out, the dangerous people. He owed money to weren't some mafia-like figures. Just a bunch of guys from a gambling circle he'd lied to. When they started asking questions, Lucas panicked. He ended up moving out of the house, lost his job, and eventually left the city altogether. Anna filed for divorce, quickly, cleanly, and she told the judge everything, every manipulation, every financial betrayal, every threat. Lucas didn't even fight it. He signed the papers and disappeared from our lives. As for my wife, once all the stress with Lucas was gone, something amazing happened. Her health stabilized. Her treatment went smoothly. Insurance finally came through. She got stronger, happier, and having Anna back home brought her more joy than any medicine ever could. And me, I learned something important, something painful, something liberating, that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones capable of doing the most damage, but also that standing up, no matter how old you are, no matter how scared you feel, is worth it, every time, always. So that's my story, and if you were on my side, if you think I did the right thing, like this video, subscribe for more stories like this, and tell me your final thoughts in the comments. I'll see you all in the next story.